He spends a lot. I've seen all kinds of stuff all over social media about him just hanging out downtown, going to different businesses.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's great.
It's awesome. He's in the article I read. He's selling tickets. He's trying to get in group sales. And what a thing. An ambassador for the league. His pedigree of what he did in the NBA, and to walk in and say, "Hey, wouldn't your business like to buy 20 tickets to the drive?" That's how you do it.
Right. How do you say no to Big Ben?
Right.
The intimidation factor alone.
Right.
So was Tyler Bertuzzi the one that you thought was a real
no. Sweet, wonderful soul. Quiet.
Okay.
Very polite though, and really nice.
So was Anthony Mantha then?
No, it wasn't Anthony Mantha. Come on, I wouldn't tell you if you were right.
Get it out
if you were right, I wouldn't admit it. I would just go, no.
Absolutely not, man.
Can you nod your head or
Nope.
All right.
I'll tell you when we get done.
Well, all right.
You got to keep it a secret.
No problem.
Deal.
Yeah, we can do that.
Deal.
We can do that. We're hoping to interview Ben Wallace at some point if we ever aspire to that level.
I heard you talking about.
Obviously,
you
were our top tier.
Well, I can put in a really good word for you as long as you bring it to him and don't. If make it as easy as possible, go to the offices so that he can carve out 15 minutes. And just know that, I don't know, most athletes aren't the best personalities. You got to find the right guy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Most of them are they're really smart, and they just, I don't know. It just seems like you got to get the right guy who's a character. Whenever when people say, "Hey, how come you don't interview people from the basketball team or the baseball team?" It's like, it's so hard to find the right guy because it's the radio. And just because, if Cal Ripken Jr. were an impossible guy to talk to and gave you only one-word answers, would you want to interview him? No. But if you had a guy who hit 200, but he's as funny as the best comedian in the world, then you're going to want to talk to that guy. It's tough to find the right athlete.
It's a lot like those infamous Jim Harbaugh interviews with Colin Cowherd.
Oh,
I can't. Those are so hard to watch. It's ridiculous.
So awkward. I don't want anything to do with Harbaugh. D'Antonio's even worse.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
He's so uptight. Are you kidding me? I want a coach who's going to be, laughing. Make me do something interesting. That you can have fun with. That's who I want. I don't want to talk to some stuffed shirt. Oh, God, it's terrible.
D'Antonio is a stuffed shirt.
Both of those guys. I would love, okay, if I'm doing a podcast and I've got Mark D'Antonio and Jim Harbaugh, the first thing I would say is, why are you two so boring? You're two of the most boring people I've ever heard speak in my entire... It's a good thing you're good at coaching because you are horrible at speaking in a microphone. You're the worst.
They're pretty bad. Harbaugh's even bad with the morning the program that starts before the Michigan games on Wood Radio.
Oh.
He's not even doing those interviews.
And the thing is, Harbaugh's a weirdo. So it's just, he's a great coach, but that guy's crazy.
Nuts.
Oh. Jeez, you remember that scene when he ran across the field and almost broke Jim Schwartz in half from the Lions?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. You got to see this video. Look up.
Was that a 49ers Lions?
It was a 49ers Lions game, and he was so hyper because they just won the game. He grabbed Jim Schwartz's hand and then pulled it and then hit him in the back. And Schwartz wanted to fight him. It was crazy.
he was so mad.
Was that when Schwartz ran after him?
Yes.
Yes. Schwartz was like, what the heck? Are you serious? It was great.
Oh,
and
then killed him. It was hilarious.
Everyone in Michigan was like, "Oh, that Harbaugh!" And then he came to the Michigan, and we were like, he's our savior."
Now Harbaugh's, I think he's doing well this year. You had that tough game against Notre Dame, and everybody flipped out, but Notre Dame's pretty good. So, winning on the road, first game of the year. Are they going to beat Alabama? Probably not, but they still got they can still get better. Michigan's going to get a whole lot better. It's all what happens against the Buckeyes. That's all that matters.
Oh, yeah.
Beat Ohio
Absolutely.
State. I love watching that game.
We were at that game.
I just want Michigan. Really?
Oh, you weren't. You weren't at that game. I was at that game.
I just want Michigan to beat Ohio State so bad. I want everybody to beat Ohio State.
Oh.
I think we can all agree Ohio State is the flat-out worst thing that has ever happened to sports.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh,
Well, this offseason guaranteed it. Now, like it's not just Michigan, it's not the Big Ten. It's everybody.
Urban and Zach Smith and,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Smith was just the worst. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I hated all of that. Meyer's a freaking criminal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, that's the thing. It's like, as a Michigan fan, you don't want something. You don't wish that upon. I mean, arch rival University. You don't want that to happen because you feel for her and for her family and for her kids. And
but they've been through a lot.
Come on, like if it was my university. I mean, we don't have to get into this too far.
I'm glad she blew the whistle.
Yeah,
but I think what's even more heinous is listening to the typical Buckeye fan try to make excuses and discredit Mrs. Smith and say awful things about her. It's like, you guys are crazy. Right. This is a classic whistleblower. This was a good thing that she did. And I will be glad when a guy like Urban Meyer takes a fall. He needs to be knocked down a peg.
Well, I think those guys, they make $7-8 million a year, and they think they're invincible.
And do anything to keep the program safe. That's all it is. That's the Penn State thing. That's the Michigan State deal. With the thing about the Michigan State deal is they did all of that, and I believe it was a cover-up.
Oh, yeah.
For a doctor.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the guy it wasn't like the football coach. It was a doctor. A team doctor. I don't understand why they would cover up for this guy.
Well, even in Urban Meyer's case, why would you cover up for your assistant coach?
Right.
Your entire $1 million career is on the line.
I think in both those cases, it could very well be just to avoid anything negative around the school or the department or something. Because that whole mess at Michigan State, I mean, you see all that network of people, that Dean Strample, and there's so many names that are in that thing. It's not just Nasser. It's a much more complex issue, I think. It seems to me.
Yeah, it's hard to read about, honestly. And not get really upset.
So awful, man. Very, very bad. This has gone in so many directions, and it's my fault. I have to apologize for that. I hope you're okay with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Most of our podcasts don't really have a really set general direction, so this just fits right in line.
Okay. Yeah, we're really good about laying things out and planning.
As he shakes his head.
Yeah. Usually it's one take, edit a a little bit, and then we throw it up.
Okay.
So, just let it fly.
Fair enough.
See what sticks.
Well, no, that's what I do, because we have in addition to the radio show, we do the extra content podcast. Sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes an hour, and outside of if things get like if we swear, I believe it or not, I can't swear on my podcast. The extra content. I'm part of the entity of the company. Cumulus says, "Don't swear. You can't swear." I'm like, all right, your rules, your ball.
But just on the podcast.
Well, pretty much any time. Poo-poo, pee-pee, caca jokes, to some extent work, but it's not the same as with my last company. My last company was like a lot more liberal on what I could say. This company, not so much. And I learned there, after you get your ball stepped on, you want to kind of play by the rules.
Yep. Bit of a transition in your take on things.
Yeah.
Now, 107.3, that's more of a sports?
It's all sports.
Okay.
So it's a good point. It's a great question. When they signed me, I said, well, look, I'm not going to talk sports. I'll talk sports if there's a story. But I'm not going to break down the defense.
Right.
I'm going to do what I've done my whole life, and that's tell stories about stuff that I think is funny and or important or interesting. And if sports happens to fall into that, Tiger Woods, Cleveland Browns, the Lions, Alan Trammell going into the Hall of Fame. If there's something interesting that we can park on and talk about, yes.
Right.
But do not hold my feet to the fire, because I'm not going to do it, talking sports all the time. I just can't do it. There are some who can, like my colleague in the afternoon, Bill Simonson, huge. He can pull that off. But I would rather. I worked very hard for my name to be out there and doing what I'm doing, and I was able to get people to come to the party and have been getting people to come to the party because of what I've done in all of those years. It hasn't been my hot sports takes. I'm not going to do it. So I made that very clear to them when they signed me, and they said, no problem. And that's the way it goes. And they leave me alone in how I present my show, and that's all I care about. They say, here's this line, don't cross it, and keep the car on the road. Go get some listeners.
Right.
Do your best to go get the audience. We'll support you in any way we can, as we can. Okay, great.
That's the best you can ask for,
And
right?
that's it. And my name's on it. So and now I gotta just, and that's why I try. That's why I talk about how important it is to sell it one person at a time. It's very, very important.
Well, your show's way more interesting than you think a local sports radio show. You got some dude talking about the Detroit Lions or the Red Wings, and then they take a caller, some dummy that has no idea what he's talking about, and then the sports show guy yells at him for being an idiot. And it's just the same thing every day.
You know, and it's funny. When I first started at BBL, I was like, oh, we need callers. I need callers to talk about every other thing we're talking about. And then I finally said, the general audience, they're not listening to hear Bill from Alto. They want to hear us do stuff. So go do it. Go do something interesting. Tell a story. Whatever it may be. And we do get calls, but there was a time when we did not. And we had to get better at being more interesting. And that's, I think, what is what makes everybody tick. That's what's going to make you guys tick. Your chemistry, what you talk about, if you have an opinion, how you boldly express it, and then let the chips fall as they may, and then try to pull emotions out of people. That's what you'll be doing as you continue to get better at this. So, that's what we do. It's no different. Not at all.
Well, I don't want to. We really appreciate having you on. It's been a pleasure.
I love doing this. I love talking about this stuff. So when you gave me the opportunity, I was like, I got to do it. I love doing it, so I appreciate that.
Well, we're super thankful for that.
Yeah.
I do a few rapid fire questions.
Please.
To wrap things up.
Sure. I won't elaborate. I'll just give you an answer.
1 or 2 word answers.
Sure.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your spirit animal?
Lion.
Wow. With authority. Would you rather be the smartest person in the room or the hottest person in the room?
The hottest.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's your favorite football team?
The Lions.
What's your middle name?
Bernard.
What's your mother's maiden name?
Rising.
What's your social security number?
I can't tell you that. Still not going to tell you.
Can I? Well, that's it then. This podcast has been a waste.
All right, this is why we got him in here to get his social. You guys are great. You're going to hit it out of the park. Just keep doing what you're doing and have fun. I mean, this is great. I'm so glad that people have the opportunity to do this, because when I was your age, I didn't have anything like this. This is so great that you can make this stuff for people to listen to.
Yeah, we're having a blast, and we've got at least 5 people listening to us, and that's cool.
Yeah, shoot. Well, actually,
I will make sure that I add you to the stable of things my audience needs to hear. So don't let me down.
You got it.
Don't let me down.
All right, man. We appreciate your time, Zane.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.